This identification is on P.T. Barnum, born 1810 and died 1891. But I'm also going to use this time as part of this idea to discuss migration history and also intellectual and entertainment history. Um, because migration is also very much connected to the circus, um, as the circus was a pole in migration. So, okay, let's go on from there. P.T. Barnum, like I said, 1810 to 1891. He actually started the circus at a much older age as a younger person way back when slavery existed. He was against slavery, but now by the time of this time, that was way past. So Barnum went into the circus business, and again, this really talks about. Remember the textbook if you read that page, the textbook talks about changes. It went from like Wild West shows to circuses being a big form of entertainment. So Barnum capitalized on that and went into the circus business. So yeah, Barnum put up posters. He used advertising to promote his circus. He really was started a large circus to travel across the United States. To make a profit and to sell tickets. And he would travel from city to city. And he was the first to move circuses by train. We've talked about advances in the railroads. Um, Another shot of another advertisement. So here you see a circus tent. See, these tents had to be put up in every city. The Wild West shows that we talked about previously, like with Annie Oakley, were now being replaced by sports and circuses and other forms of entertainment. And so the circuses would travel and they were supplied many jobs to people, not just putting up the tents, but skilled labor. Um, Circus parades, and they were very popular in cities, small cities, big cities, and middle-sized cities. So there's the circus train, the greatest show on earth. So it was very labor intensive. Many people came from all over the world to work in circuses, their families. It's really like much more important than just Barnum, as it was a family business. It drew people from Latin America, from Mexico, Central America, South America, and it drew people from Russia to come and work in the circus. And it was highly skilled in things such as acrobats and trapeze and high wire acts. And brought in many families, worked generation after generation for the circus, teaching their children these highly skilled things, as well as others in the family who may have put up tents or train animals and many jobs. Um, so here's a circus performer. Looks like it would be on a trapeze. So yeah, the circus was a great pull, and it pulled people from a variety of countries, like I said, Central South America, um, Mexico, and was a great form of employment. And it's not, not the kind of employment that you could just learn anywhere. It would be passed down from family to family. So uh, many workers for the circus stayed in it for multiple generations. The children, the grandchildren, and just stayed in the business, which was the best way to learn these highly skilled jobs. A few shots of circus entertainers, very daring acts. Sometimes in the early years, sometimes they were daredevils and didn't even have nuts, so it could be quite dangerous. But this is another shot of that. The trapeze, you have um, highly skilled timed acts. More and more nets were used, but it was even with nets, it was not a safe job. You had to know what you were doing, and the crowds just loved it. They would come, children, adults, families, fathers, mothers, would just come and pay money to see these circuses. Okay, so let's go on to the next slide. So, like you see, children were learning to work in X, and then those children would grow up, and their children would stay in it. So, in a sense, it really was a very much not a corporation, but it was a family business. And those family members who would be in the back scenes with training, physical fitness, and all kinds of setup of trained equipment and tent equipment. So really, and food had to be made for the staff of the circuses, and even healthcare was needed. Some shows, obviously Barnum wasn't the only circus. Sometimes performers would leave the circus and start their own shows, like this is the Garcia show. So there's a shot of the train again, the greatest show on earth. And here they merged with the Ringling Brothers, which was, I believe, 7 brothers who were based in Wisconsin, who started a youth circus of their own and um, eventually merged with P.T. Barnum show. Of course, dogs, elephant, all kinds of animals were in the circus. Trained dog acts. So then you needed, animal trainers of all kinds, highly skilled with that too. So another thing was the high wire, sometimes called the tightrope. Tightrope acts were very intense, crowd pleasers, and those who did it took years of training, usually from childhood on up, to learn how to walk on these high wires. And they, as time went by, became more and more daring. You see here 2 people on the high wire. Uh, Eventually, bicycles were used on high wire. Okay, and so it was quite elaborate. I mean, at a much later time, you had the motorcycle acts and things, but back in the late 1800s and early 1900s, we had the bicycles. Um, a well-known bicycle high wire performer, Josephine Bersoni, and if you had a well-known name, then people were even more excited to come and see the circus. Here, a famous high wire walker was Maria Spelterini, and she not just did it in the circus, but she here's walking across the Niagara Falls Gorge, which back in the 1800s was quite a spectacular thing. Obviously, highly dangerous. Another shot of Spelterini walking, but she was successful in that walk. See, the most wonderful horses and greatest acting dogs ever seen in this poster. Um, so yeah, dog trainers, people who could really just knew what they were doing, with handling animals was very popular in the circus. Like I said, from Russia, Germany, Spain, England, a lot of workers that came to the circus from Mexico, South America, over the decades. This is a famous family called the Walendas, who had 7 generations in the circus. Some of the Walendas actually died during the circus, and there was tragedy in that family. But 7 generations is quite a bit. Children learning how to walk on the high wire. More of the Walendas, and they're actually recently Walenda in the most recent generation. Right here we see Nick Walenda. He, not too long ago, walked across Niagara Falls, and then Nick Walenda came to Chicago, and Marina City's downtown by State Street and the river. It was quite an event in the news in Chicago. I'm not sure how long ago this was, maybe like 10 years ago. He walked across between the Marina City apartments. Went through a lot to get the mayor's permission with insurance and things, but he finally did it, and that was televised, very highly rated television show the night he did it. So okay, well we have obviously clowns was another act, which actually they had clown schools, if not taught from the family. Clown schools even developed, and until recently, now circuses in the last few years are much. Actually, the business has slowed down a lot in the last, say, 5 years. But the clown schools were very popular. There was a well-known movie. I think it may have won an award. It's an old movie, but it was in color, called "The Greatest Show on Earth," by a famous director named Cecil B. DeMille, with Charlton Heston and James Stewart. So okay, and here you have the Baraboo Circus World, which is about 2 hours from Chicago, maybe 2.5 hours, which is a circus museum. And just a few years ago, they had a train that would go through Wisconsin from there. But I believe this museum is still there. I've been there. It's a nice museum. And then there was a musical with the fellow who played Wolverine in the Marvel films. Hugh Jackman, the musical Greatest Showman, which was about P.T. Barnum. And talk about the circus. So all in all, the circus was important in U.S. history, for immigration history and entertainment history, and then the famous P.T. Barnum died in 1891, from 1810 to 1891.